We think those companies do need to work with you to make sure that infrastructure is maintained. And I also want a severance tax. I don't think that oil companies ought to pay 20 cents on an $80 or $90 barrel of oil. 20 cents tax. I don't know where I can sign up for that, but I'd like to get it. And I'd like to take it to 4%. Some of you would like us to spend it and give it to you. I want to lower the taxes on small business. Small business is the engine of economic growth in our state, and jobs to me are the greatest moral issue. So we have a lot that we have to continue to do, and let me tell you a little bit. Not only this issue of the severance tax, but all tax reform. When you look around the country at those states that have the fastest growth, Texas, Tennessee, Florida, no income tax at all. Now, this issue of the income tax, particularly as it relates to small business, is critical. If we can continually send a message to small business and to businesses around the country, and frankly around the world, that we can find ourselves in a position where we can attract more companies. And by the way, I just decided over the weekend, I've been invited to go to Davos, Switzerland. The heck wants to go to Davos, but it's a World Economic Forum where they've asked me to come and talk about the Ohio story, the Ohio miracle. And I've decided I'm going to go so I can sell Ohio and bring some, hopefully at some point, make the connections we need to bring some jobs back here. Because there's a lot of good things to sell. So look forward to tax reform. Now, I know there are engineers that are in this room. And I know that you have a slight or oblique interest in our plans on the Turnpike. I've heard that rumor, that you might have an interest. Well, you're going to know by the end of this week. We will be talking about our plans in detail at the end of this week, and would very much like for you to study them. You know, there's another thing that was going on. We had X number of dollars to try to fill X number of projects. Now, you have to understand that politicians promise a lot of highway and infrastructure, even if they don't have the money to deliver the goods. Sound familiar? So Jerry Ray came to see me, and we don't play footsie with all this stuff. I mean, it's not the way to run a railroad. Jerry said, well, you know, we have a big shortage. I think it's like 1.6 billion for the promises and the dollars. And he said, what do you want me to do? I said, well, tell him the truth. And we told him the truth, and a lot of people said we stole all our money. I don't know what they thought we did with it, but the fact is we owned up to it. And we tried to respond to it with these public-private partnerships where we can get companies to loan us money in anticipation of their being repaid. It's a significant project that allowed us to do some things in Cleveland we wouldn't normally be able to do. We've been able to reduce the operations within the department, I don't know, 50 and 100 million. Sounds like a lot, it's not a lot when you're dealing with the cost of these infrastructure projects. And the other thing we want to do is we want to lease out the rest areas on the state roads. Now, why does that make sense? And what do you save there? Well, you save a big chunk of money. First of all, you don't have to upkeep those places. And I can get my picture taken down out of those places. And the second thing is you get paid to those that want to lease them. Now, you know who doesn't like that idea? Who would you think would not like the idea of leasing those rest areas to the private sector so you have better service for your residents, lower costs, and improvement all around? Who would you guess? Business. Because they've got their operations located out the next exit. Well, we're going to move forward with this because it is the right thing to do. And that will save us money and add to the ability to do infrastructure improvement. And the Turnpike is very much the same way. I understand how sensitive people are in the north about the Turnpike. Understand it's an emotional issue. And we've listened to people. And we're going to respond in a way to get value out of that asset. And I have to think about it this way. You have some very important equipment that you have to service all the time. But it's sitting in a barn somewhere. And it's on your books. How many of you would allow that to just sit there? you try to figure out how to use that asset for sure, because it means real money, real value for the citizens. So I'm excited about this announcement. And what I want to tell you is that the bulk of this money will be spent in the north, and we will be able to complete projects much sooner than we could if we didn't move forward with this. And taking into account many of the concerns of people who in some ways have had a very strong emotional attachment to a highway. And that will come at the end of the week. Education reform. We're going to come out with a whole